Tonight, 14 persons allegedly involved in the killing of a chief and 2 of his relatives in the Oti region remanded as the police mount a search for other suspects in the crime.
They were working on his farmland and they shot them indiscriminately. They were not armed, they were just with their tools working on the land.
Details as it has emerged that the killers engaged in targeted torching of houses and the stealing of traditional regalia. Also, stay off Saglami or lose your investment. Minority warns private investors not to acquire the abandoned housing project following government's plan to privatize it.
To compel this government to look for funding to complete this project without using any private developer, we have to do it. So any private developer that will partner the government to complete this project, the project will be taken away from you.
We have details as they allege an organized crime aimed at running down the facility to sell it cheaply.
It's a matter of somebody trying to run it down so they can pay cheap. They can organize with their cronies to be able to get it cheap. And trust me, I can prophesy to you today that this is going to be sold to a family member.
Also tonight, we are out to get you. Warning from the police, the AG's department and other stakeholders as the fight against human trafficking on the Volta Lake is given a major boost.
Those of you who are involved in trafficking or aid people who are involved in trafficking, this is a sure message to you that we will come for you.
We'll tell you about the newly commissioned Volta Lake Marine Patrol Project. This is Johnny's Prime with me, Ernest Min. We have details of these stories and more in this package. Please stay with us. Hello again, many thanks for choosing us. The bulletin is live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV 144. Tonight, 14 persons allegedly involved in the killing of a chief and 2 of his relatives in the Oti region have been remanded by a court and scheduled to reappear on the 9th of December. Police in the region, with the support of their colleagues from Accra, are also in a manhunt for other suspects involved in the crime. According to the district chief executive for the Krachi Intramural district in Kumakwesi, the deceased chief, Nana Kwame Mebo, had a disagreement with some members of a neighboring community over a piece of land, but won the land litigation case at the Krachi West District Court. The 3 were shot dead by unknown killers whilst they worked on the contentious land on Saturday. It has now emerged that the killers also engaged in targeted torching of the houses and stealing of traditional regalia. Listen to the Krachi Intramural DCE in Kumakwesi.
It was Nana, his younger brother, and another relation who were shot dead. But they were ambushed by these assailants while they were working on his farmland, and they shot them indiscriminately. They were not armed, they were just with their tools working on the land. And because they didn't know what this other group from the neighboring community had in mind, they couldn't resist. Nana and his relations, he organized what here we call Ndoboa to go and help him prepare his yam mound. Whilst preparing the mound, this group of persons from another community called Bakando surrounded them and started shooting at them indiscriminately, resulting to the deaths of Nana Mebo, his younger brother, and another relative. This is how it happened. And it didn't end there. After shooting Nana and these other persons on their farmland, they moved to the Brahimfie town, and they did selected and targeted burning of houses. Houses that belonged to relatives of Nana were burnt. They went to Nana's house, ransacked rooms, destroyed things, stole his black stole, his sandals, his regalia, and his personal clothes. They were all stolen. A flat screen TV was also taken away. So it's not only about the killing on the farmland, Houses were burnt, and it was not indiscriminate. It was selected and targeted, and this is what happened on Saturday.
He also noted that personnel from the police headquarters and their colleagues in the Oti region are on a manhunt for the other suspects.
There have been additional support from national. Police officers came yesterday dawn around 1:40 thereabout, and they've all been deployed to the various community. That's why we held an emergency dissect meeting for all the security operatives to brief each other, share notes, so that we'll see the way forward, so that they can pursue those who have fled to neighboring districts. Also share security intel with officers in the adjoining district, so that we can arrest those people and bring them to book. Some are not in our district, they are in the neighboring district. Based on the outcome of today's meeting, information will be shared to them, so that we need to arrest them, especially those who litigated the land with Nana. They are the prime suspects because of this land that Nana and his brothers have lost their lives. So this meeting has put together the way forward to first to prevent any reprisal attack, and also to enable us pursue and arrest those who are on the run.
We are out to get you. That's a strong warning from the Marine Unit of the Ghana Police Service and the Office of the Attorney General as the fight against human trafficking is given a major boost. The Marine Unit of the Police Service has received 4 new boats to embark on patrols on the Volta Lake and islands where child or human trafficking remain prevalent. Speaking at the commissioning of the project, the police expressed optimism the new equipment will revolutionize the fight against human trafficking. The Volta Lake is one of Ghana's pristine water bodies that has anchored the socio-economic development of the people of the Volta and Oti regions, as well as surrounding communities. And yet, this rich water resource also presents a haven for criminal activities. The Oti Regional Police Commander, DCOP Charles Domamba, expressed concern.
The establishment of the Marine Police in our side of the country, that is in the Oti region, will not only help in arresting criminals involved in child and human trafficking cases along the Volta Lake, but will also help in arresting criminals that use the water transport system for their criminal activities such as drug trafficking, which is becoming prevalent in water transport on the Volta Lake.
The increasing incidence of human trafficking is despite government's commitment to deal with the canker. Logistics has been a major setback. That is why the police believes the provision of these 4 new boats for marine patrols has pumped fresh energy into the service to clamp down on the illegalities. But the Office of the Attorney General is hoping that this will not be another exercise in vain. Andrews Doji Adogo is the State Attorney at the Volta Regional Office of the Department.
Let us avoid interfering with the processes when people are arrested. That is why I'm very happy that the traditional authorities are here. Because usually when people are arrested, we get interferences. I've not mentioned anybody's name, but we know ourselves. Let's do an introspection. And for those of you who are involved in trafficking or aid people who are involved in trafficking, this is a sure message to you that we will come for you.
Whilst rejecting claims of undue interference in the administration of justice, Chief of the area pledged the unflinching support of the traditional rulers to help eliminate the menace, warning no one will be shielded.
We are also pleading with the political leaders, because we don't need votes from anywhere. We don't need votes from anywhere. But the political leaders, where people are caught at the sea, they will come and if my paper, we belong to my party, he belongs to this party, for that matter, spare him or do justice to him, and for that matter, the program becomes disorganized. Nananam will never interfere into this business. We are ready to support you. When you have programs which you cannot solve, please run to us and we'll be able to help you solve the problem.
Some community leaders who spoke to Joy News were united in their pledge to collaborate with the police.
Very important. As an assembly, it all boils down to funds. As in the speech of our MC, who support, and our doors are open, especially in the place of providing of fuel, especially fuel. That so assembly is fully in support. Yes.
And as we've launched this program, we believe that it's going a long way to help the church and the growth of the church, because the church also needs future leaders, which will also take charge when we are not there.
So after almost a year of training, 15 more police officers are now ready to join the campaign against human trafficking and all forms of labor and illegal activities on the Volta Lake. And as you can see right behind me, this is just one of the 4 boats provided by the International Justice Mission to help in this fight against human trafficking. 2 have been docked here for the Ketekrachi area, but there are 2 strategically placed at the Tema end to assist with operations over there. But for the International Justice Mission, sponsors of this project, this is just the beginning of a series of activities to deal with the complex syndicate of child or human traffickers. Anita Budu is head of operations.
And so from this pilot program here in Ketekrachi, we are really hoping to see good results, results both in terms of trafficked children being rescued, arrests being made, and prosecution also. And we are hoping that this would be kind of like the template to be able to replicate in other areas alongside the lake in the future. So really, this is just the beginning.
It remains to be seen how the newly commissioned Volta Lake Marine Patrol Project will translate into desired outcomes.
So for all of you offenders out there, the marine units of the police service is out there to get you. NS Menu, Joy News, Ketekrachi, Oti region.
The Amansia South District Security Council has visited the family of Felicia Dankwa, the nursing mother, who is believed to have died after being hit by a stray bullet from a military shooting incident at Manso Datano in the Ashanti region. The deceased sustained bullet wounds to her stomach, while her 1-month-old baby was shot in the left palm. The 25-year-old mother died at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital. Love FM's Emmanuel Bright Kweku was in the community and brings us the very latest on this development.
So behind me is the family of the deceased, that is Felicia Dankwa, who unfortunately lost her life on Saturday after being hit by a stray bullet of a military officer. We've been engaging with some of the residents or the eyewitnesses here, and one Theodora tells us she was right behind the deceased when the stray bullet hit the ground and a stone by her hit her hand.
Se one Americano, yani mene madaf na jina ho. And I'm saying to come dem me ko to nsuo no se me ko to bimla. O family ne bayi. Ti me koye no. Kwana no sase so otutu no. Otufa soro ogye ni sei. Otutu fa soro santo de hwe fom no. Etwetwa bo saa ene kan yen. Ti me ha
So far, the district security force or council have been here at this particular community. We had the district chief executive, that is Clement Opoku, and also the Manso Edubia police come and visit this family to ascertain for themselves what actually ensued on Saturday. And the local chief over here who led the family to meet the delegation, the local government delegation, is Richard Jemfi, and he's been telling us that the DISEC, that is the District Security Council, has assured them that they will make sure that the perpetrator will be brought to book.
Wama full assurance say, "Omo bedi achire baby asam no bekwa akopim bia no, womu nyaye mu. The sefata bia no wombeboa. Na etoso biem. yɛde hye na wo wuo no nso no ɛho modern mobia na wo mo bɛbɔ sɛ aban nhwehwɛmu no de ɛwɔ sɛ wo mo ɛde boa yɛn ama yɛtimi ɛkɔfa yɛde hye no ɛde to yie sɛ yɛbɛyɛ promoted yɛbɛpapa mu ehunu sɛ yɛtuo ampa ana bibi foforo no ni nyina no wo mama yɛfu assurance sɛ wo mo bɛdi akyire na de ɛsɛ fata bia no wo ma yɛ ɛde aboa yɛn.
So we are still here at Manso Datano in the Amansia South District of the Ashanti region to find out more information from the residents or even eyewitnesses to give you more information in our subsequent bulletin from here at Manso Datano. My name is Emmanuel Bright-Kweku.
Let's head to Parliament now because the minority there says any private investor who will be approached by government to take over the Saglami housing project must reject the offer. That's because they say a future NDC government will not honor any such agreement to sell off the project. The facility has been abandoned since the NPP took over in 2017, with rodents and weeds taking over. Was meant to be an affordable housing unit. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kojo Ashanti toured the facility with the MPs and has come through with the following report.
Abandoned project cost the taxpayer $200 million. 6 years since the change of government, it has been abandoned and left to rot. The facility has been taken over by rodents and other animals. Government announced only last week it was open to selling it off to a private developer. Well, the minority say no way.
I'm shocked with what I've seen and the team here, and I know you are also very shocked about this. And going back to Parliament, I don't think we have to go and rest. If there should be anything that we have to do as a committee in Parliament to compel this government to look for funding to complete this project without using any private developer, we have to do it. So any private developer that will partner the government to complete this project, the project will be taken away from you.
A member of the Committee on Works and Housing, Zela Tete Abutui, a professional architect, warned citizens to turn the heat on government to complete the project.
And I'm very disappointed. Number one, there are 5 policemen who are patrolling this place. This large estate. How much security can they provide for this? The concrete walls over there. When you enter the rooms, you see that the switches have been cut, have been pulled off and cut off, and they've been left there. The switches are Hager switches. That is not a cheap brand. Just look at the doors that are there. Good quality finishes and good quality fittings. So if this has been left to deteriorate to this manner, we should be asking very serious questions of the government and why they have left it to this point. I'm very disappointed. And as an architect myself, it breaks my heart to see so much waste.
In Nkranza South MP, Emmanuel Kojo is alleging a deliberate plot to run down the facility and sell it off to cronies.
It's just a matter of somebody trying to run it down so they can pay cheap. They can organize with their cronies to be able to get it cheap. And trust me, I can prophesy to you today that this is going to be sold to a family member. This is going to be sold to a friend. This is going to be sold to a business that is close to these guys in power who are saying that it's a failed project.
So this facility that cost the ordinary taxpayer more than $100 million has now been left to rot, and the minority are not leaving this hanging. They want urgent governmental action to fix the mess that is now the Saglami project. They say they are completely against the privatization of this project and have been issuing a threat to any potential private investor that if you get involved in this project, a 2025 NDC government will not honor any agreement you had with the current government. We've been inside, we've seen the fittings having been completely stolen, electrical materials, the burglar proofs, the glasses, the doors, the windows, everything is gone, and this building is back in a state that is uninhabitable. They say that a future NDC government will complete this project and no privatization will be allowed. From Saglami, here in Ningo Pram Pram, Kojo Ashanti for Joy News.
And we'll stay with the minority because, again, they're vowing to block any approval of any new loans by government that will be brought to the House. They say they will not allow a further ballooning of the debt stock, which they say is unsustainable already. Government is seeking approval for some $500 million to fund health infrastructure, digitalization and the implementation of the GIFMIS project. Speaking to Joy News at a meeting of the Finance Committee, NDC MP for Isojaman Thomas Ampemnyako said the NDC will not support government to plunge the country into further debt crisis.
The government has brought loan agreements for us to approve, and 3 different loan agreements, one for $200 million and 2 each for $150 million. We have taken a very simple position that looking at our debt situation, we are unable to support further approvals for further loans, because we believe that if you are in a hole, you don't continue to dig further. We are waiting for the finance minister to give us a clear path to take out of this debt situation. We need to know our debt sustainability plans. Otherwise, we in the minority are clear that we are unable to support any additional borrowings by this government.
What are these loans supposed to be used for? And are you not just destabilizing government?
No, we are not. You see, one of the loans they brought to us indicates that they are requesting for $150 million to support some gift mix projects that was started previously, and they want to enhance. And if you look at it critically, most of them are going into consultancy and other things. We don't see clearly what these funds are going to add on to what we already have. Another one, digitalization project that makes some sense. Unfortunately, we have earlier on approved about $115 million for rural connectivity that have not really been implemented fully. We want to see that all these things are done before we add on to our debt situations. And so our position is clear. We are not against loans per se, but until we see a clear path to debt sustainability, it won't make sense for us to continue to approve more loans for this.
But reacting to this, the Minister for Communications and Digitalization, Eslo Usekufo, urged the minority to revise their stance and support the approval of the loans, which she described as urgent and critical.
Well, we had extensive deliberations with them. Our young people are crying for digital skills and startup funding to be able to provide jobs for themselves instead of waiting for government. This loan facility that the World Bank board has already approved it. They're willing and eager to give this money to us, but we cannot contract any loans without parliamentary approval. This loan for the Ghana Digital Acceleration Project will provide funding for entrepreneurial skills, development, and training, and startup capital to stir up the innovation ecosystem and tech ecosystem of our country. In addition to that, it's also providing funding for us to extend connectivity to some hard-to-reach areas in this country. And without connectivity, there's very little we can do to stimulate the rural economy. So in my intervention before the committee, I indicated that yes, we're having economic challenges, but digital technology provides us with a ladder to climb out of the difficulties that we're currently facing. And so even though the minority has already taken a decision that they will not approve any loans, I urged upon them that they should look and take another look at their position and reconsider. Because if we don't take the right decisions today, our country will be in probably even more difficult circumstances tomorrow.
So finally, do you not agree with this contention that we are in a debt distress situation? So we should not compound our situation further. So we should halt the borrowing for now.
It depends.
Eslo Usekufo there, Minister for Communications and Digitalization. Apologies for the break in that bite there. You're watching Joy News Prime with me, Anas Mini. We're taking a break. When we return, we'll bring you some more Plus Showbiz. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. The British government is denying claims it has been invited to send special forces to Ghana after it was forced to withdraw all of its 300 peacekeepers from Mali in the face of bands of Russian mercenaries and jihadist groups. A report by the UK media outlet The Telegraph reported that British ministers who are visiting Accra this week will have to hammer out the new security agreement. Earlier today, President Akufo-Addo, at a counter-terrorism meeting dubbed the Accra Initiative, called for a joint effort to tackle the problem of an upsurge in violent extremism in West Africa. This wonderful report.
Terrorism is taking a foothold in West Africa, especially within Ghana's neighboring countries. It is for this reason that the Accra Initiative is being spearheaded by the democratically stable nation, which is seeking to lead a pack of other nations to fight violent extremism. President Akufo-Addo, who is hosting heads of state to deliberate on ways of tackling the security challenge, says the Accra Initiative will work on the principle of complementarity and will further boost pre-existing mechanisms to fight terrorism.
This is why the initiative, even at the early stages of its establishment, proved beneficial in engendering greater responsibility for member states, ultimately leading to the successful conduct of joint ad hoc military operations to flush out terrorists and transnational organized criminal groups from our common borders. It is also important to stress that the Accra Initiative operates on the principle of complementarity, ensuring that its vision and mission are consistent with the counter-terrorism frameworks of the UN, the AU, and ECOWAS.
The West Africa regional body ECOWAS says the Accra Initiative is timely and will further advance the cause of dealing with the menace of terrorism. This message was equally shared by the United Nations and the European Union.
Terrorism is today steadily encroaching on the coastal states and establishing a foothold in the Accra space. We have seen how sustained attacks by terrorists have destabilized some of our member states and forced the diversion of resources into fighting the menace.
The United Nations welcomes the holding of this summit. The consistent leadership and political will of the heads of state and government is your best asset.
The terrorist objectives are well known to us to threaten the very existence of your societies and countries. And this situation calls for rapid mobilizations from regional partners and from the entire international community.
The German government also lauded the initiative. Katja Kerl is the Minister of State at the Federal Foreign Office.
And we are very thankful for the Ghana government for organizing this conference A
tourist site enhanced, a canopy walk added to the Ote waterfalls at Amejope in the Volta region. Surreal waterfall, canopy walkway, and some kilometers of forest reserve with rare animal species await tourists at the Amejope canopy walkway in the Volta region. The latest scenery discovery adds to the array of tourist sites in the Volta region that makes it arguably the hub of tourism in Ghana. TVG's just returned from the place and has come through with the following report.
So the long-held view and argument that the Volta region represents a microcosm of Ghana's tourism industry has been given a major boost with this latest addition of the Amejope canopy walkway and the Ote Falls, all gathered and lodged at one single location. The hope is that this latest addition will go a long way to boost the local economy and also help to cut back on carbon emissions. The 259 steps one needs to take to get to the canopy walkway may be a short journey, but it is one grueling, energy-sapping exercise. A number of potential tourists who set out to the waterfall and the canopy walkway aborted the journey halfway. The commissioning of the Amejope canopy walkway and the Ote waterfall add to the array of scenery in arguably the hub of tourism in Ghana. For the faint-hearted, the over 200 meters walk on the canopy walkway was such a frightful experience.
The experience was great. I believe this is a great facility. And to me, it will be a game changer for this